Welcome back to the PCC podcast. And in today's episode, we are going to be covering the difference between being busy and being avoidant. This is going to hit some of you pretty hard because at the end of the day, we're all really, really busy, but some of us are reaching our goals and some of us are staying stuck. So if you are staying stuck and you want to do something about it, this episode is for you. So let's talk about busyness. Okay, I know for a lot of women who are high achievers, like we don't like this concept. We don't like that we're just constantly busy. We're over hustle culture. Like we have already probably grinded away our entire 20s. And now in our 30s, we're a little bit craving some slowness and some stillness. However, it's not as easy as it might seem when you've spent probably your entire life grinding away at productivity, right? So let's talk about staying in motion, staying busy. Somewhere along the way, we learned that being busy is productive. Being busy is going to reward us for checking the boxes. And in a lot of areas of our life, this proved to be true. In a lot of areas of our life, we checked the boxes, we did the things, we took all of I know for me, it was like I played sports, I was traveling for sports year round, I took all the AP classes that I could. I did all of the extracurriculars that I could in school. And then in college, it was take as many credits as you can to finish as quickly as possible and get into the world, the real world. And be a good student, be a good daughter, be a good girlfriend, be a good fiance, right? And check all of the boxes of what you are supposed to do, and it keeps you so damn busy, right? And the thing is that this reinforces our brain that checking the boxes is productive, because in a lot of areas it is. Like a lot of areas of life can be straightforward in the sense that, like, if you check the boxes in school and at work and all these things, then you'll get the promotion, or you'll get the next step. And honestly, for some people, I've noticed now it's becoming more and more apparent that it's not always linear, that like there isn't that clear path for everyone, even if you do check the boxes, and life isn't fair. But that's kind of what we've learned. That's what we've internalized, right? Is if I do the things, then I get the reward. And that is reinforcing dopamine hits in our brain. When we stay in motion, our brain is getting rewarded for the idea of checking the boxes and doing the thing. But the problem that happens here is when we are actually stuck with something like our health and fitness journey. So the type of women that I work with specifically are women that, yes, are very high caliber. They hold the mental load of like 17 different people in their brain at all times, but they also struggle with things like overwhelming amounts of food noise, second guessing, a lot of times self-sabotage, and almost feeling like I don't know what happened. I just like blacked out, and like I just overate, and I feel like I'm starting over now. And sometimes they can label that as like emotional or stress eating, and other times it's just like, dude, I don't know what happened, right? And so when it comes to your health and fitness, this is the one place where your efforts do not equal your outcome. And it can make women who have thrived off of knowing predictability of like what's coming when you put in the work, it can make you feel crazy. And for a lot of these women, the past of their fitness history has been that way. It's been, I tracked the calories, I did the cardio, and the results came. And once you get into your later 20s, 30s, early 40s, the game just changes. Like it's just not the same. It's not that the math doesn't math anymore. Calorie deficits are still a calorie deficit, and the math still works. But the thing that it's not accounting for is the fact that life continues to get heavier and it will not slow down, right? When you age, it's house, fiance, kids, and then they grow up, and then they're in activities, and then they go to college, and then they have a life, and you're still trying to figure out like, how do I actually take care of me, right? And so we have to learn how to slow down and figure out what we actually need instead of just letting life pass you by and realizing that you let it all slip and you're a zombie and you haven't actually taken care of yourself. And that's really scary to confront. But the women that I'm talking to are kind of confronting this like early enough, right? In their late 20s, early 30s, recognizing that they want to set the tone for the rest of their life instead of be a victim to it. And so when we're super, super busy, the problem that I see is that we just don't slow down to think, to feel, and we don't get connected with the reality that we're feeling or what's actually going on. And it keeps us safe from having to feel the feelings that are uncomfortable, like shame or failure. Like, I've been a zombie in my life. Like, there's a lot of shame that comes with that, to realize that you haven't been an active participant in your life, that you've been letting life pass you by, that you've been sacrificing or settling your standards for just whatever life has thrown at you. So you stay in motion instead, right? You feel productive because you're like looking on ChatGPT to like get the best workout plan, trying new recipes, trying to optimize your time. But the deeper issue remains untouched, because busyness at the core, while it feels productive, is not neutral. Constantly staying occupied protects you from slowing down long enough to notice things like dissatisfaction, disappointment, grief, right? Resentment, fear that something isn't working. And as long as you're moving, you don't have to feel. And that can feel really dangerous for high achievers, especially our nervous system, right? So, stillness for high achievers is oftentimes one of the hardest things to accomplish, not because you don't want it. It's like you're listening to this and you're like, I know, I want to feel, I want to be in touch with my emotions, I want stillness, I want to calm down and slow down and really work on this stuff. But the problem is that's your conscious thinking, but your nervous system is wired for go, 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 go. And so when you slow down, your nervous system will detect that as danger. It will detect it as this is not safe, right? Because at some point in your life, your productivity, your output has been equated to how you value yourself, right? And so if you stop moving, your nervous system detects that as you've stopped being productive. And it's not logically true. None of this is logically true, but we can't apply logic to a non-logical situation, right? So that's when we freak out, or we freeze, or we have paralysis analysis, or we spiral when we slow down because we finally feel the thing, and that's scary. And it leads us to throw in the towel, emotionally react, or just avoid altogether and just go back to being busy. And so that is why we really struggle to get out of this loop. Not because you lack the discipline to do a 10-minute meditation, but because when you do the 10-minute meditation, you are so uncomfortable that your brain makes up stories as to why it's not the right thing for you to do right now, or why it's not useful, or why it's not helping, or why it's not productive. And then you just ditch it, right? It's not a discipline issue. Okay. And so with this, the difference is that we want to make sure that we want to have ambition without avoidance. Okay, this can look identical on the outside. So a lot of us are very, very ambitious, but avoidance is busy. Okay, so ambition can look like high output, discipline, consistency on the outside, and avoidance can look the same. It can look like high output, discipline, consistency. If you're resonating with this and you're wondering, like, is this me? The place you need to look is internal. Am I moving forward in my goals? Like, am I actually seeing the results that I want to see? Or am I just staying in motion? Is this keeping me from moving forward? Or is it actually helping? Right? Because we're all taking action constantly, but some of us are moving forward and some of us are not. And if we are in avoidance, it means that our motion is keeping us from noticing something. And when you finally pause, then you get to ask the question like, why does this feel off? Or what am I actually avoiding? Or is this what I actually want? And that pause allows you to have uncomfortable awareness, whereas busyness and motion creates insulation from that, right? So I want you guys to remember slowing down is an act of courage, not weakness, because it's actually really hard for you to do. And at the end of the day, when you slow down, your brain is going to send danger signals, like something bad is going to happen. Like, have you ever taken a day off of work and you're just anxious the whole time because you think that some fire is going to go off at work because you're not there? That's your nervous system. Okay. And you actually have to train your nervous system to tolerate that, to progress, rather than just thinking, oh, well, then it's just, I just shouldn't take the rest, right? We can't react to those emotions because those emotions are driven from a place of fear. Now, before I just dive into the key takeaways for today, I do want to touch on one important piece, which is what happens if we don't change this? What happens if we don't handle always handling things, right? Because when you're always handling things, you're busy taking care of important shit and it's going to feel important, right? But you're not able to confront then the decisions you're avoiding, the boundaries that you're not setting, the identity that you've outgrown. So this overfunctioning, it keeps the system running even when it no longer fits. But if we do continue to overfunction and we don't address it long term, this will show up as emotional numbness, chronic dissatisfaction, restlessness without clarity, and success without fulfillment. Not because something is wrong with you, but because you never slowed down long enough to listen. And I can share from my own experience that I have gone through this ringer, and I'm speaking to you from a place of I have been there. I have climbed the ladder of success in this online fitness business space to the point where I didn't even know what I was building for. Like, I was just building for the sake of, I said I would. This person has built the business bigger. I'm going to chase them down and try to do the same thing. And when I looked back at all of that, I realized I didn't even connect with what I had built at a certain point. And I was always anxious, didn't know why. I had success, but I felt so disconnected. I felt constantly anxious, constantly dissatisfied. Something felt off. And it wasn't until I slowed down to actually pay attention to what was going on internally to figure out, what did I actually want? What's the direction I want to go? And how can I learn to create ambition without just being busy? And so now I have better time freedom, better work-life balance. I actually prioritize hobbies of mine, which is crazy. I never thought I'd be able to fit in hobbies while running a business, and time with friends and things like that. I feel fulfilled at work. I'm connected to what we do, to who we work with, because it's such an extension of my own story. And so I just want you to hear that nothing is wrong with you. You just need to slow down long enough to figure out what is going on the inside. And slowing down is not weakness. It's the willingness to tolerate awareness. And awareness is what creates change. So remember, the question isn't how do I do more efficiently, like with your workouts and your steps and all this stuff. The question you need to be asking yourself is, what would I notice if I just stopped running for a moment? Ask yourself that. Send me a message in the DMs if you want to talk about what this brought up for you. And I'm so looking forward to hearing about how you guys are slowing down, tuning into what you really want and what you really need, and redirecting the track of not only your fitness journey, but your life, because you're finally no longer stuck in the busy. Okay. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got a lot of value out of this episode, and I will look forward to seeing you here back on the next one.